Insight Observation Technique to Study the Mind by Venerable Rung Ruang Papas Saro, Dr. Rung Ruang Lim Chu Patipa. Immanuel Kant explained the logic of human mind as follows.
Mathematics is a construction of the human mind.
Bertrand Russell explained that
Buddhism is a combination of both speculative and scientific philosophy. It advocates the scientific method and pursues that to a finality that one may call rationalistic. In it are to be found answer to such questions of interest as what are mind and matter.
William James highlighted the mind study in the Insight Observation of Buddhism as follows.
A threefold strategies. Mental phenomena should be studied indirectly through the careful observation on behavior and of the brain and should be examined directly by means of introspection. The introspective, insight, observation was what we had to rely on first and foremost and always.
Niels Bohr, who is a father of quantum physics, admires this brilliant technique of insight observation by the Buddha as follows.
For a parallel to the lesson of atomic theory, we must turn to those kinds of epistemological problems with which already thinkers like the Buddha and Lao Tzu have been confronted, when trying to harmonize our position as spectators and actors in the great Dharma of existence, the law of life and nature.
The insight observation is the observation on mental phenomena inside the mind to make a collection of observed state of mind as they really are for making further analysis to gain knowledge about the truths of life within nature. Life equals body, mind, equals the five aggregate of being, namely form, feeling, equals perception, volitional formations, consciousness. Mind observation equals the varieties of the states of mind, equals the objects of consciousness in associated with equals form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. Insight observation equals the observations on forms, feeling, mind, and dharma, equals observed data, functional and structural analysis, equals the process of dependent origination, equals the Four Noble Truths, equals the mind is liberated. In performing the Buddhist practice, the early part of the study in samatha, the mind will reach the internal serenity of mind by cleansing all the unwholesome thoughts that disturb the mind before making insight observation in vipassana. That is, after being able to become the master of the courses of thought, the mind will reach internal serenity from emotional thinking, and then we develop purified mindfulness to have a closer look on a particular object of consciousness happening inside the mind. The Buddhism is a pragmatic religion, and the Buddhist practice is pragmatic practice as well. The Buddha explained the scope of insight observation on various mental phenomena inside a mind as follows.
What is the observed mental phenomenon for examples, form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, external sense fields, objects, internal sense fields, receptors, contact, mind consciousness, craving, clinging, existence, birth, aging and death, ignorance, volitional formations, consciousness, name and form, etc.
The insight observation is an insight experiment to observe what is happening inside the mind by making a collection of observed states of mind, and then analyzing the truths of what life is. How it functions, how does it respond to the world, and how we can improve this mechanism to improve the quality of life. In Buddhism, we make the mind study in accordance to the threefold study strategy through performing the insight observation. From scientific perspective, the mind can be defined in terms of a set of the collection of all possibilities of the states of mind, and if we can define the relations of each state of mind by observing what is the cause and effect of each particular state of mind, then by tracing the mind processing we can construct the topology of mind as follows. By establishing mindfulness to be aware of what is happening inside the mind, tracing on the changing of the objects of consciousness, then we can experience the varieties of the states of mind. And by having functional analysis on each state of mind, we can understand the nature of mind, that it will arise and fade away due to the law of cause and effect in nature, that it is impermanent, deteriorating, and no self. Typically, the insight observation will yield a set of states of mind, saying the varieties of the five aggregates of being, namely form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, and consciousness. The insight observation is the Buddhist way to study the reality of life through the observation on the mind. To have insight on the continuity of stream of consciousness, to see the collection of dharma in associated with form, feeling, perception, volitional formation, consciousness. The Buddha simplified the courses of mind study into 4 mindfulness foundations, namely the body, the feeling, the mind, and then concluding the study into the Dharma as the knowledge. This functional and structural analysis of the observed data will yield the relationship of each state of mind in terms of mind processing, so-called, the process of dependent origination. This is a great knowledge leading to enlightenment. By applying the 4 Noble Truth analysis on this study, then the cognitive process of introspective learning is developed to gain insight wisdom for the destruction of the taints inside the mind. The Buddha called this capability of introspective learning the element of acknowledgement of mind. And by establishing mindfulness accompanied with wisdom to destruct all unwholesome state of mind, the mind is liberated from any matter happening in the world. This is great technique of insight observation to make an end of suffering in life. In SN 46-55, Abridged, v. 121-26 and Watupama Sutta, the Buddha compared insight observation like seeing a reflection of face on clear water. This is the reason why before performing the insight observation, we have to cleanse the mind from the 5 lower fetters up to the initial thought like clear water first. In the ancient time, no one ever had an idea of how to perform insight observation on the mind before. However, without any scientific knowledge at that time, the Buddha introduced a scientific way to study on the mind by performing insight observation to study the truths of life within nature. The Buddhist practice is a way to perform a scientific experiment to study on the complexity of mind, clearly not a magical performance for any supernatural power.